I'm wondering if you have any advice for leaders who find it hard to delegate, or, who feel like they have to have control of everything that's going
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So that's a learning curve. If you feel that way, you are not alone. It takes practice. So most times what happens is when entrepreneurs start their own company, they're like, okay, I've got this, I can do it. They do every job in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was me. I was the bookkeeper, I was the marketing person, I was the therapist, I was, the cleaner. But what happens is eventually we say, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I can't handle all this. And we hire our first employee. Then we think, oh my gosh, having this employee is so much more work than me just doing it. They clearly can't do it. Like, why did I even hire them? And then we fire them. And then it's just, okay, I'm back to myself. And that's a normal transition for entrepreneurs because most of us, we started the business on our own and we have a hard time delegating. Mm-hmm. And so it's not that employee was probably not a good fit. It was that we weren't ready yet to actually delegate. And so there's a book called Run Like Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, and it's a great book. And in the book, it talks about how, as entrepreneurs, how we can spend our days. And they use a framework called the 4 Ds, which is doing, deciding, delegating, and designing. And so if I think about how I track my time in the day, I might, as a brand new entrepreneur, I might be doing like 80% doing. I am doing the tasks. Then maybe I'd be like 5% deciding, maybe 10% delegating, maybe not if I don't have a teammate, and then the rest designing, which is like thinking about the business and the structure and working on the business. And so as I grow, what I want to do is start to flip that equation. I want to be doing a lot more designing, which is me working on the business versus in. Right. Then I want to be really good at nailing the delegation. Deciding is when people are coming to you like, can I do this? What do you think about this? Can you help me with this? That's the deciding. We make a lot of quick decisions in our day. And then doing should be at the bottom. We're always going to do. There's always going to be things to do. But as you progress throughout your company and as you expand it, you want to start moving into flipping that equation. And so delegating is really hard, but what I always say is it takes practice and it takes time. And so what we think is we're just going to tell someone how to do something, but they're going to come back to us and they're going to ask us questions. And just like we had to learn it, they're going to take a little bit of time to learn it too. So something a friend of mine started doing in their company is every day they have a huddle, and 15-minute huddle in the morning. We do it in our company too. And it gives people time to say, okay, what's blocking you today? Is there anything blocking you? And so for, let's say I have one employee. Yep, I can't figure out the login for, our marketing software, and it's really hard and I don't know. Or, hey, I'm working on this thing. Can I ask you all of the questions ahead of time so I don't have to ask you them 10 times throughout the day? Or I'll come back to you tomorrow and let you know. And so a huddle is a great way to give yourself the dedicated time to delegate. But honestly, it's hard. And I am still guilty. I wrote a policy today because I was like, no, I'll just do it. I know it. I've been doing it. And, in reality, I could have delegated, but it's better practice if I actually spend the time to teach someone else. It takes practice, but it's so important because you need to free yourself up to start doing the high value tasks. I had a friend of mine once say, she's a really great entrepreneur, and she said, I just decided one day that my hour was worth $1,000 an hour. And I was only going to focus on things that felt like $1,000 an hour. And eventually she was making $1,000 an hour. So she's like, well, now I went up to like, $10,000 an hour. And she's like, it helps me think about, would I pay an employee this amount of money to do this task? And I thought, that's brilliant. And so I just think of my hours. I don't think of it as an 1,000. I'm like, okay, if I was like going to make 500 this hour, would I pay someone 500 to do this? No. So I need to delegate it.
Right.
And so it's just like a little fun brain game that I was like, Okay, I can do that.
As an entrepreneur, as a leader, making decisions is so important. Like, how do you make quick decisions and good decisions and stick to them?
I think it's Peter Drucker has a quote that managers do things right and leaders do the right things. And I always was like, what does that even mean? And then now I get it, is I don't make decisions necessarily to just get the right outcome. I make decisions so that we're doing the right things in the company. Oftentimes there's better ways that we can do things, and I really have to decide, is it worth it right now to invest in updating our process, which usually right now it is because we're at a scaling point, or is it better to say, I'll put that on the back burner and I'll come back to it at a later date because I need to do this first. And so I think in leadership, especially as your company grows, there's going to be more and more decisions, but I have to kind of think about what are the most important ones. And so I don't need to make every decision. I want my team to be strong at decision making, and they're only strong at decision making if they understand our vision. So it's my job as the leader to make a very clear vision. Here's where we're going. Here's how we're going to get there. Here's what we value. Here's our principles. And that allows my team members to actually make healthy decisions for the company. I don't want to make every decision because it'll rob my day and I'll be exhausted by 11 a.m. That being said, when I do make decisions, I often make decisions not having all of the information. So what I do is I have to quickly weigh pros and cons. I think about the risk and benefit to the company. I think about, does this impact company culture? How will this impact our bottom line or revenue? And then I just have to trust. And so there is very few times is it really black and white. I go with my gut sometimes. And I think, does this align with the values of our company? Oftentimes in partnership requests, I think, well, is this worth what we're going to be expending? And, sometimes I make mistakes. And then when I do that, when I make a mistake, I think, all right, I made a decision with what I had in the moment. I learn more later. How do we pivot? And so it's all about deciding, reviewing the decision, thinking about, what actually happened, and then pivoting or continuing on course. And over time, I've handed off a lot of decisions that I feel really good about. And so I used to order all the coffee for the office. Right now we don't have to do that because of COVID, but then I handed it off because we really have to watch for decision fatigue. Although there are some things I love to do. So when we give employee gifts or we think, I love doing that. I love picking things. So I keep those decisions because they excite me. But it's really just thinking about, what is my vision? Where do I want to go? And does this align? And it's okay to say no. And at first people would approach me and say, do you want to partner on this? Do you want to do this? And I would feel like if I said no, I would miss out on the best opportunity ever. But in reality, I rushed it. Oftentimes they weren't the best fit for what I wanted to do. And so it's okay to say no. It's okay to buy yourself time. It's okay to listen to what you need, because ultimately it's your business.